And the more detail about Dr. Praveen Kumar will detailed by Senthil. Senthil, can you please?
Thank you, Rahul. And welcome everyone. So here, as told, this is our 18th talk, and we volunteers are taking part more in the organizing or conducting of these talks. So it's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Dr. N. Praveen Kumar. He has done his BSc Zoology as well as his MSc in Marine Studies at Madras Christian College at Chennai, and he followed it up with an PhD in Marine Biology at Pondicherry University. He started his career in 2016. In 2016 to 17, he was a senior research fellow at the Central Island Agricultural Research Institute, Port Blair. From 2017 to 2018, he was a senior research fellow in Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, Cochin. So since 2018, he is a project marine officer with the World Wildlife Fund, WWF. And his project is regarding promoting sustainable fisheries management through certification in 4 states, which include Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and Andhra Pradesh. Basically, his research interests vary in the case of marine biology, microbiology, toxicology, ecology, and biotechnology. And he's also interested in potential fishing zones, GIS mapping, fisheries management, and then conservation and marine environment. So we have a very apt person, Dr. N. Praveen, who is going to give the talk on seafood sustainability, why it matters. So welcome, Dr. N. Praveen. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your great intro about myself, and good evening to all the people. Actually, today I'm going to talk about seafood sustainability, why it matters. So, especially the Kerala state, we are always depend on the seafood. And we know every day we can eat the seafood every day because we have 10 coastal states, and we know where is the fish was coming, and sometimes the fish was not available in market, sometimes fish is there, why it was a variation was there. So today I'm gonna talk about that seafood sustainability. Anu, will you please go for next slide? So seafood is the world's most globally traded commodity, more than a coffee or cocoa or sugar. Next slide. So this is our Indian scenario. Okay, what is the Indian marine fishery scenario? And we have the length of the coastline is 8,118 kilometer. So we have a lot of landing center in nearly like 1,265 landing center, and this much vessels we have. So we'll go for the fishing, and we are the like a producer for the 4th position in all over the world. Next slide. So I talk about what about the Kerala have the 10 coastal districts, and they have this type of coastline, and the number of landing center also there. So seafood resource was in Kerala, it was more enough, okay, compared to other states like especially like Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat and all. Next slide. So this is the catch. Okay, I don't know. Sorry for the slide. It will be little blur, but I am telling what is the content here is, okay, the species diversity first is in the Tamil Nadu and next is Kerala only. Okay, compared to 2017 and 2018, their catch diversity was very increased because they introduced a lot of new nets and new vessels are there in this both states. Next slide. So today, actually, I'm gonna talk about this only. Okay, what is sustainable and what is unsustainable, and what is I am doing in WWF to promote the sustainable fishery management. So this is the main term we are gonna do. So this is like 3 terms. It's like one is called underfish. So this is a data more than like 25 years back. They will tell like that a lot of fishes was underfish. And after 10 years back, they told, okay, we can achieve this maximum sustainably fished. Now it was going to the overfished. It's called unsustainable. So this data, I got it from the FAO 2020. This is a recent data. Next slide, please. So what is a sustainable seafood? So this is the definition for the sustainable seafood. That's main key term is you need to make a responsible fishing method and maintain a stable catch level. This is a more important thing. So you need to maintain a reasonable, responsible fishing method and maintain a stable catch level in the long term. And you should not cause any major harm to other sea life, especially like a mostly like a marine mammals and turtles. This all the will come like a bycatch. Next slide, please. So why you should consume sustainable seafood? Because main theme is you should make a sustainable seafood means that will helpful for our future. Because if you're having overfishing and you are taking unsustainable way of fishing means after 20 years we won't get any fish from the ocean. So we need to make a consume a sustainable seafood. Next slide, please. So this is unsustainable fishing. So mainly I'm talking about what is unsustainable fishing means. It's like a overfishing and bycatch. So I'm telling a short form. Next slide, please, Anu. I can. So overfishing is a consequence of removing fish faster than they can replace themselves. So it is like a what is no. If they need to breed, even like a fish also need to breed on certain season. Like they are giving in Kerala also they're giving a fishing holiday for the 60 days. So they allow the fish to breed. But some greedy fishermen and some people they want to catch that young one also. So they can't able to replenish or reproduce properly, so that stock will go very decrease. Especially last year we can't able to find a sardine, the matti fish was not available in all over India because of this overfishing, and lot of problem was there. This season also the matti population was a little bit low only. And bycatch is another main problem, and especially in our WWF we are working related to bycatch in lot of states in Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat. So this bycatch is mainly targeting the mammals like dolphins and turtles and all will come and got in the net by the trawl net and Persian and all the nets. So this is we need to more careful about this unsustainable way. Next slide, please, Anu. So this is the thing, recent data, it's like every year the fishing, it will kills this much of turtles, like more than like this much numbers of turtles they're killing, and 100 million sharks was getting entangled, and like whales and dolphins also entangled. So what is going on in this 2020? So next slide, please, Anu. So this is one case study I'm telling about, even in our while I am working in a CM for a time we did this study. So one trawl fisherman was doing operating the trawl. Okay, it was near some Kalfam Mannar region. So this much bycatch they caught it in the net. So because they not do a sustainable way of fishing, they did the unsustainable way of fishing. So further more slides I can talk about how we need to change this unsustainable way to sustainable way of fishing. Next slide, please, Anu. So these are the major nets now operating in the India, especially first one is called a trawl net, and the second one is called a Pershing, and the third one is called a hooks and line, and the fourth one is bottom trawler, and bottom trawler now not functioning properly in the main place. So these three major net only they are operating all over India. Next slide, please, Anu. So this, I talk about the bycatch. Okay, what is the bycatch? So you are also understand what is this bycatch. Bycatch is like that unedible or small fishes like this juveniles. Okay, so this fisherman, they not going for this targeted fishes. They only going for this only targeted fishes like the shrimps or tuna, or they go for the like costly fishes like shearfish, Sorry, I don't know the Malayalam name for that or not. So that type of fishes only they needed. They don't need the small fishes. So what they will do, because they don't have the freezer system in the vessel. So what they will do, they will throw these juveniles and this type of unwanted fishes or unedible fishes simply into the ocean. Okay. Next slide, please, Anu. So this is a way. This picture I clicked in that Rameshwaram region, and you can see that plastic bottle also there. You can see clearly. So this is a deck. They will collect the trawl fish and they put it in that, and they will only collect the shrimps, the valued fish, because shrimps costly. It's like 1 kg. You can get like a 650 rupees, and you won't get that much valued the small fishes or not. So they don't want the small fishes. They segregated only the costly fishes because they need the income. So that the small dead ones and the small young one fishes like rays and the sharks and all, they throw back simply outside. Next slide, please. So this is another catch, and you heard many time in newspaper also. You can see this. It's a seasonal bycatches because certain times, no, certain times the turtle need to do the nesting in the certain area. So that time the this fisherman regularly operate the gill nets and all the thing. So this turtle will get entangled and dolphins will get entangled. And the second one is called a whale shark. The whale shark also got entangled, and recently that picture was published in a Kasimedu landing center in Chennai last month. That was got in a net, in the trawl net. Next slide, please. So this is another one thing. It's also called the bycatch have a different variation. This is called a area specific bycatch because no certain, especially in West Coast, this Bombay duck that one species will available. The Bombay people will be love this fish. But if you ask about any Kerala or Tamil Nadu or any other state persons, what is Bombay duck? They're not much aware about this and they don't need this fish also. So in Orissa coast, this Bombay duck, they are throwing simply as a bycatch. And this bycatch is a very serious issue and it was leading to the unsustainable fisheries because your bycatch will got the all the maximum predator and young ones and juveniles. So that proper ecosystem was getting collapsed because of this bycatch. So this bycatch was playing a very critical role and overfishing. These two things was playing a very critical role in the unsustainable fishing. So we don't know much about all these things because this all the things will happen inside the ocean itself. Because they will throw that if the dolphin come also, they will throw it in the water and only it will come to the shore. Only we know, oh, the turtle was come to the shore. We don't know anything. We only know about the naming and the shrimp and all this thing. Oh, this much kg, this much thing. But for catching 1 kg shrimp, how much bycatch was there? We don't know. That is a bitter truth. Next slide. So this is the thing. Okay, so what we can able to tell. So this type of continuation will go means another 20 or 30 years we won't get a single fish in the ocean. So there should be some thing we need to do, okay, to control this unsustainable thing to sustainable way. So we are doing, this is called a TERT. TERT is called a turtle excluder device. So this device is mainly for to the turtle need to escape. So you can see the picture itself, the first picture itself, it was clearly showing, okay. So it is like that the trawl net, they will operate from one side to another, okay. They have one gap will be there, okay. That gap, through that gap, this turtle will escape and go, okay. But another fishermen will also ask, so through this gap, the fishes will go or not? Like that they will ask. But literally, we did this TERT survey in Andhra Pradesh and Orissa. So compared to the loss of the fishes was very low, very, very low. compared to the without TET operation and with TET operation also, we can see the variation. So this TET, it's a very good device to, especially for the turtle. Okay, it should not get entangled in the trawl fisheries, and this TET is very, very necessary. Now all the sustainable fisheries management, they are encouraging, all the state government also to encouraging this TET should be there in the trawl boats. The trawl boats should have this TET. The trawl boats especially going for the shrimps. You can see the second picture, that is like a trawl boat. So they are catching the shrimps, because this turtle also will be coming little bit of pelagic time and it can entangle there, and because this trawl operation, it will take like a 6 hours. So the turtle can't able to breathe. It need to come upstairs to breathe. That is a more important thing. If you put the turtle was little low, but the law was there. Next slide, please. And this is another same type, okay, but this is called a bycatch reduction device. This bycatch reduction device is not more, the lot of people will not installing their boats, because it was, they are telling like that small fish also they're not ready to lose. But our motto is, you should leave this small fish only, you will get the future, you will get that fish production and fish stock should be very high. But this BRD, especially in our WWF, they did this work in Gujarat and they got a very good result for this bycatch reduction device. And they are making awareness to install in all the places, especially in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Andhra, all these major coastal states. And this BRD will help. There is one loop will be there. That loop will be sent only the small fish to out. The big fish can't able to escape from that side. So only the small fish can able to move out. That should be one closing will be there. So that closing only allow the small fishes. Small fishes means I am telling like that less than 10 centimeter fishes, not more than that, because that is the level they are measured. So this is also another device they are using to encourage the fisherman to do a sustainable fisheries. Next slide, please, Anu. So this is another one important thing. I don't know, a lot of people not aware about, especially in India. This is called long line fishing for the birds. And in India also, lot of we don't have a proper data how much this albatross and seabirds was get entangled in this long line. Long line is like this type of long line you can use to catch a tuna and a sailfish. This is a long line they specially used for only the catching a tuna and sailfish. So they put one fish in that. So they put a sardine or some fish to as a bait. In that bait, this albatross and all this bird would try to come and pick it out. At the time, it got entangled in their hawk. So that is a problem was there. So this is even in foreign countries and all, they have one method is called nori. Nori is called that below you can see some orange color tag like that thing was there. So they will use this method to scare the birds. So birds won't come too near to this line. So this is the method they are using in the abroad countries. And India also, we don't have a proper data, okay, how much. So that is for one plate, he is ordering some 5-star hotel. So buying, and you can see the how much bycatch that lady was coming on me. Catch one, can add it like a 250 grams or 300 grams of shrimp. Even nearly like 10, not 10 to 15 kg bycatch will be there. That is a condition right now. It was going nearly. So the Europe Union, especially like the developed countries and all, they're very much worried because they need that the whole world fishery need to come in a sustainable way. So our project main thing was, it's called a sustainable fishery management through the certification. So this is a main motto. So we talk about the sustainable fishery management, what we are going to do. Next slide, please. So this is the thing. What we are gonna do is like we are doing a promoting that MSc certification. MSc is called a Marine Stewardship Council certification. I'm not gonna go for a too much technical terms. So I'm gonna talk about that MSc certification. It's like a one. I can tell like a one brand. If you go like a going for a car, okay, you can tell like this car is very good. It's like a Mercedes Benz or a BMW. You can able to trust that car and you can pay the 35 lakhs. Okay, the same Maruti car was in the 10 lakh car, but you are paying that BMW, you are paying a 35 lakh because you know that BMW have more safe and it have more luxurious and you know everything. It was a more luxurious and safe compared to this Maruti. So the same thing only this MSc standard. So this is like a certification. It's not a easy process. If you are having a one particular fisheries, I am telling like that. I am gonna talk about Astamodi clam from the Kerala. That is the first certified product from the India. So that we need to these three principles. Then only we can go for a certification. So this is our project. So we need to go and talk with all the states, especially like that four states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh to promote this certification and bring this sustainable fishery management. Okay, so we are doing a sustainable fishery management through this certification. So this MSc is another one NGO, but they are giving the certification all over the world with a tie-up with the worldwide fund. So we need these three important principles need to follow the fisheries. First, it's called a sustainability of stock. So that stock should be very healthy. It should not be over exploited. If this over exploited, we won't get the certification of that species. It's especially like a shrimp or a oyster or a fish, or it won't get a certification. And next one is like a ecosystem impact. So this ecosystem impact only this bycatch and all this thing will come in. Endangered, threatened, protected species, ETP species, and ecosystem. All this thing will come in this ecosystem impact. Then next one is called a effective management. Effective management, it is called like that. Now this government was taking some step and the scientific organization like CM4A taking some steps and the NGO like World Wildlife Fund taking some steps. So these people and the fisherman association, these all people join together and make a one committee or one management committee to see that whether that fishing was going sustainably in future also. If once they get the certification, next year they're not doing in a sustainable way, they won't get this certification. And what is the advantage of this certification? It's like the Maruti and BMW difference only. You will get a more value and your product will be sustainable. Next slide, please. So this is the thing I talked. This is the Astamodi clam fishery. So this is the first fishery. It's got a MSc certified from this Kollam from Kerala. So this is because of once that Astamodi clam was very good rate and a good population was there, the people got over exploited. So one particular breeding season, they don't go for a fishing. After that only they can that season time nobody will go fishing. If anybody will go and do the fishing means they will put it in the some punishment or they don't involve in that till after fishing. Like that, a lot of things was there because this committee was controlled by a collector. So this is a way this Astamodi clam fishery was very successful. And another one thing, it was like a very small community, so the monitoring was very easy. So this is a way that Astamodi clam fishery was very good, and you know the revenue was like a 10 crore per annum they are earning, that particular fishery people, that particular community. And next slide, please, Anu. So actually next is from this fisherman association will come to WWF and they want this is need to be certified because that is only small community and they are always all the people was involved in the sustainable fisheries. We are only giving the certification to the gillnet fishery, not any other net, because some people are there doing unsustainable way of fishing. We not encouraging that people. We are only encouraging the sustainable way of fisheries, because Kerala Fisheries Department also need to encourage that fisherman to bring to them to in the sustainable way. So we are doing that is in a, this Tangacheri. And next slide, please, Anu. So this is another one way of certification, and you can, I think a lot of people know about this Lakshadweep Poland lines tuna, because this Lakshadweep, they are using this Poland line. What is they are doing now? You can see that they are splashing the water. That is the hello. Okay.
Hey, Praveen, somebody who logged in between and noise came. You can continue.
Okay. So this is actually this Lakshadweep Poland line skipjack tuna fishery was the one good representation of the sustainable way of fishing. So one boat, even you can see one person will catch a fish. Okay. So this is very sustainable way. Even they don't able to catch a small fishes. They can't able to catch that big net. They entangle the marine mammals or nothing will be there in this way of fishing. So this was almost gonna be certified. That final stage was there, and because of this corona, little bit it was a delay, but everything was over and it was gonna be in a final stage of certification, and very soon it be a certified Lakshadweep Poland lines Jap tuna fisheries. And next slide, please. No, previous slide. Right now our project, okay, so we are now really like a 12 species was already in the pipeline for this certification from the Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Even some other species now in Andhra and Tamil Nadu, like this species also going to be come in a pipeline, because of this fishery department was very much interested, and even our Indian government also very interested about sustainable way of fishing, because they also need to protect the stock. They don't need to be over exploited. So this all the species will come under the certification. It is in the process. It is in the pipeline. And next item. Anu, next slide. So what is the benefits of certification? So what is the benefit? Everybody will tell, okay, you are giving certification, and what is the benefit of for us? So this all the benefits, like a fishing industry and retailer and wholesaler, mainly the fisherman, because no one fisherman, they have suppose he have one big boat and they are selling 1 ton of tuna this much price for a 10 lakh. And if it is a certified, and if it is go to that proper route, and you will get like a 10 to 20% hike in that product. So that income will come to directly in your pocket. So this is a way to promote a sustainable way, and they will get an income to that the producer, and the same time of this enforcement official. What is the we give the training how to control this bycatch, how you can able to see this net size was very small, okay, and they are catching some bycatch, some mammals or turtles. So how they need to control and how need to measure, how you need to tackle the thing, how you make awareness to the fisherman. This all the thing we are giving to even Kerala. We finished this last January, and in Tamil training, and this training will bring the result. Next slide, please. So see, I think you all people will have the news about that Calicut, that fisherman released that whale shark. It got entangled in their net, and a lot of people will tell that bringing. The fisherman need to make aware about what is sustainable and what is unsustainable, because this is because of that we give training to the fisher officials and the fisherman about what is unsustainable and what is sustainable. Then only they can also release, because that people also need to know. They can't able to simply keep the turtle and all the thing inside that, because they need to release, because it will survive. This is a predator, and that is more important. Next slide, please, Anu. So this is another one good thing. This is was doing by one group of organization. It's called a Know Your Fish, and especially they are doing in this western coast, not in a eastern coast. So western coast, especially for the Kerala and Maharashtra, Goa, and all these places, this will be useful. So what they are really doing, okay, this October month, which fish you can able to prefer and which fish you can able to avoid. How they are choosing this? Because this fish, especially the preferable fish, was already it was a very good catch fish. You can able to eat it. But avoid fish, it was like a breeding season for them. So you should not eat that fish. Even you got that. Even sometime you can see the market. You can see that shark also. You can see very small shark. You can they will sell it in the market. That all unsustainable way of fishing, because you know the shark size how big should be. So this type of big fishes, even they are getting a small fishes, means they are use the unsustainable way they catch the fishes. So this know your fish type of amps and that campaign, this you can able to go through it, at least as a public. You can able to choose a wise fishes, and whenever you go to market, you avoid to buy that small shark or a small pomfret or a small tuna. This type of fishes you try to avoid, because that's all fishes should be grow very big. If you consumer avoid all this unsustainable way of fishing, then the fisherman also slowly move towards to the sustainable way. That is our project motto. So we are making the consumer also to come to the sustainable way. You should not buy this small size of shrimps or small size of fishes. You should tell the fisherman you should not bring and sell this thing. You should buy. But our consumer also sometimes know, oh, we are getting a shark for only for 100 rupees. Oh, this is the thing we are buying. You should not do that. You should encourage that fisherman and make the awareness about this. You should catch a proper size and all this thing. So that is also more important, because sustainable way of fishing only our future. Because if you follow the unsustainable way, then more than after 20 years, we won't get a single fish from the ocean. Thank you.
Those can ask questions. They can unmute themselves and ask questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for the benefit of everybody, I'm Ranjan Matthew Verghese, working as the State Director for WWF India in Kerala. Thank you, Praveen, for that wonderful presentation and the work that we are doing. Actually, I was fortunate enough to be Praveen is working in the Fish Forward project mainly, and we have our WWF as a major marine program. All the WWF India head office is based in Delhi, and all the major programs are based out of Delhi. But unlike that, the marine program is based out of Cochin, because as you know, Delhi does not have any marine and coastal connectivity. So almost all our leading marine related institutions are also in Kochi. So the marine program coordinator, Mr. Vinod. Who's unmute? Shivakumar?
Yes, I will look.
Whose noise is coming? Okay, so the major institutions are also based out of Cochin. So marine program coordinator Vinod also sits out of Cochin. So I was fortunate enough to be part with him for this program. So certification is something rather unknown to many of the people. നമുക്ക് ഭൂരിഭാഗം പേർക്കും അറിഞ്ഞൂടാത്തൊരു കാര്യമാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു certification scheme ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതിനെ കുറിച്ച്. Mainly because it originated in the US and the Europe and all those kind of things, and still the demand is there. നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടെ ഇപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ certified fish products എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ we are not looking for that. It's still the major market is in the US, Europe and all those areas. So and from there it has come to Asia and India, and as we all know, നമുക്ക് ഇതിനകത്ത് ടിജു ഉണ്ട്. ടിജു നേരത്തെ ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാമിനകത്ത് the presentation he did was on the Forest Rights Act in Vanavakasha Niyamam for the tribal community. So it almost took like 4 years, I think, for Tiju to work on that and get the community forest right. It was almost similar for Vinod also, because as we have the tribal community in the forest is a fisherman community along the coast. So they are not aware about what is certification, what are the benefits and what needs to be done and all those kind of things. So convincing them itself took a whole lot of effort. So what Praveen presented in like 30 minutes is 4 or 5 years of hard work done on the field. So that itself was a big challenge. And then a normal misunderstanding which comes is that, okay, can't we certify the fishery of Kerala? That is not possible. It has to be species specific, and it has to be a location specific also, as Praveen said, because you need to look at the sustainability of the stock, you need to look at the harvesting methods and all those kind of things. So it cannot be done at a very large level. It has to be more of a micro level. So it has to be species specific as well as geographical area. So that is what when Praveen presented about the Ashtamudi short neck yellow clam, that also is not the whole of Ashtamudi. It's mostly that a coastal area where the estuary connection is there with the sea. What is the name of that place?
Ballakodi.
Dalavapuram and all those areas where the major that fishery got certified. And before we go in for this certification, there is something called as a pre-certification assessment to look at what are the species which qualifies for certification and stuff like that. And then the certifying agency needs a lot of information. That is a major challenge in front of us, that they need a lot of information to say that this is the stock, we are harvesting it in a very sustainable manner, we have management entities in place and all those kind of things. So these were all areas where we had a lot of gaps. There was a lot of gaps in information. There was a lot of gap in the techniques and the processes involved. There was no proper management system. So we know that over the last 4 to 5 years, like what Praveen said, ultimately led to the formation of a management committee, which is chaired by the district collector. So you can understand, all of you are from Kerala, you can understand how much effort it would have gone into setting up of a committee, a new committee chaired by the district collector. And again, the big challenge was, as you know, district collectors keep changing. So we talk to one person, get everything convinced. He then sits as the chairman of this body, and then immediately he is transferred to some other location, another person comes in, we'll have to start right from the scratch of explaining to him what is this and all this kind of thing. So these are all great challenges that we had in between. So once we go do the preliminary certification assessment and all those kind of things, and then we went in for full assessment. And another major challenge in this is that the certification process is done by third-party agencies. So if you are a fisherman, if for example, Ranjan, I am a fisherman, I want my fishery certified, I need to bring this agency here to get my fishery certified, and that incurs a huge cost. So that is another major challenge which is there for fishermen community to get the fishery certified. So that is where actually WWF stepped in as pilot projects to, we got the funding secured from different, we put it forward as project proposals and got the funding secured, and then we facilitated the progress. So actually WWF India was a facilitator between the fishermen as well as the certified fishery. So helping the fishermen community to know what is certification, what are the benefits and all those kind of things, working with the local administration to come out with, to identify data gaps, bridge the data gaps, bring in CMFRI and such agencies and do that, and also work with the district collector to come out with the management entity also. So that is how WWF facilitated that process. So WWF has played the lead role in introducing certification scheme into Kerala and also getting the first fishery certified, that is a short neck yellow clam. That is not just in Kerala, in the India and this part of Southeast Asia. And now we have made this awareness, we have made people convinced. So now MPDA, Marine Products Export Development Agency, and the Kerala Fisheries Department, even the minister, everybody has got interested that we want to go in for more certification of fisheries so that we can say that it is our fisheries is sustainable. But still the challenge is that I know all of you, if you have gone to the market also, if you go to our supermarkets also, you will not find any certified fisheries, right? Praveen, we don't have anything available here, no, as of now.
But now we are planned to bring this certified product, especially like this Walmart. Walmart was not there in Kerala, but it was there in Andhra Pradesh and another states. Or not. So now mainly, they are bringing.
Go forward.
Now they are bringing slowly the sustainable product in this Indian market through the Walmart, because Walmart was ready to do this, and now slowly other chains also, big hotels like Taj and all these hotels also now encouraged to buy only a sustainable product, not in unsustainable things.
Yeah,
so
this
we are encouraging like that.
Short neck yellow clam of our own Ashamudi in Kollam had its huge market in Japan, because Japanese people have a great preference for this yellow color also, and seafood also. So they had a great demand for this short neck yellow clam. So the major market, and the certification scheme actually developed in Asia and all these countries because of the pressure we had from the US and the Europe stating that things which come here, we want to ensure that what we import here as seafood is sustainable seafood. So actually you can say that they were the driving force, but as Praveen said, the market is slowly picking up in India also. We also need to move, like Praveen was saying, we also need to be aware when you go to the market. Even yesterday, I live in Peta here in this thing. Innale meen vikan Sri ഇവിടെ കൊണ്ടുവന്നപ്പം അവർ കറിയിലാവെന്നും പറഞ്ഞു കൊണ്ടിരും. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയായിരിക്കും കറിയിലാവെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് മീനിന്റെ മാർക്കറ്റിൽ വിൽക്കുന്ന സാധനം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നെയ്മീന്റെ ചെറുതിനെയാണ് കറിയിലാവെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ഇന്നലെ മീൻ വിൽക്കാൻ വന്ന ശ്രീയുടെ അടുത്ത് ഞാൻ അടിച്ചു ചുമ്മാ ഇരുന്ന്, അവര് വളരെ ഫ്രണ്ട്ലിയാണ്, തർക്കിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന് നിങ്ങൾ ഈ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളെയൊക്കെ പിടിക്കുന്നതുകൊണ്ടാണ് വലിയ സൈസിലെ നെയ്മീൻ കിട്ടാത്തത്, അതെല്ലാം എക്സ്പോർട്ട് മാർക്കറ്റിൽ മാത്രമേ കാണത്തുള്ളൂ, നമ്മൾ ഈ ചെറുതും തിന്ന് ജീവിക്കത്തേ ഉള്ളെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. സോ ലൈക്ക് പ്രവീൺ സെഡ്, we should be aware that what is the minimum size. നമ്മള് ഇത് ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ സാധനങ്ങളൊക്കെ കിട്ടുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അവർ വില കുറയ്ക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് വളരെ സന്തോഷമാണ്. ഓക്കെ, വലിയ നെയ്മീൻ മേടിക്കാൻ പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, വിളഞ്ഞ നെയ്മീൻ മേടിക്കാൻ പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി കിലോ ഒരു 900 rupees ആയിരിക്കും, വേറെ കറിയിലാവ് നമുക്കൊരു 400-450 രൂപയ്ക്ക് കിട്ടും. അതുകൊണ്ട് we are happy because the price is less, but we should always be aware that there's one big aspect of unsustainability in that. So പ്രവീൺ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ നമ്മൾ ഓരോ മീനും മേടിക്കുമ്പോഴും we should really realize what is the unsustainability factor in that, and then go in for purchase of the products. So Praveen did a very good presentation. So I thought I should just add to that, and then because I was really part of this fishery certification program process in Kollam and all those areas also. Yeah, I think there are some questions also coming up. Praveen can take the question.
Sunil, some questions are there in the chat box.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Nowadays, marine environment are getting polluted, and eating shrimps and clams are also said to be dangerous as they are loaded with heavy metals. So he says certain countries like Singapore is raising vegan shrimp meat using stem cell technology. Can India try on it? Praveen? Praveen, your mic is mute.
Please unmute.
Praveen, you're mute.
Okay, sorry. Actually, no, that Singapore, they started that because of that form. That is not especially for the focusing about the marine catch. They only focusing about the shrimp farms, because shrimp farms, there a lot of pollution was there because they are adding lot of feeds and chemicals to grow that shrimps. And especially this is because of the marine catch was very decreased, especially the Singapore started this, even Cambodia started and Indonesia started, because these all the countries was very good in this shrimp aquaculture, not this marine capture protection. Especially our China and India and all this country, our shrimp production was little bit very good till now, but it was going decline also. But this is maybe we not go in a sustainable way. It will go through the same only, which is like a meal maker. So they can create like a shrimp in like a meal maker, and we can sell it in the packets, and you can buy and cook it and eat, and you don't know what is that, how they made it. Maybe they can tell like that it is a ready-made shrimp, or they can tell a genetically modified shrimp or something. But this all the things are not useful, because we have the resource, but we should protect the resource. And in India, especially the shrimp farmers, and they are creating this, they are bringing the shrimp from the different places, and they are doing the same thing, especially this vegan shrimp. I read it, and that technically the Rajiv Gandhi aquaculture, they plan to do this vegan shrimp in Nellore region. But the farmer was upset about this, because this should not be like some genetically modified, or this type of shrimp will come, means they lose their own product, because they are a very good hub, especially the Nellore region. They are in a shrimp aquaculture. So in India, they are not doing this. But I accept your point, this pollution, especially you are talking about which area this pollution, because some estuary area, if I'm able to talk about in Kerala also, some estuaries, that is means river will go and mix with the sea. There also they are catching shrimps. That even you can get that sewage water and this pollutant, this will get the problem. But the open ocean, that shrimp, it's not that much polluted. It was a very good source. But we are not getting that much shrimp because they are doing an unsustainable way of fishing. So this Singapore thing, it was not very welcome in India. Nobody was doing that also in India.
Another question, that is with respect to the ban of monsoon trawling. So does this contribute to marine sustainability?
Yeah, this is one good important thing I need to tell about this fishing holiday. It was a main say of the producing the sustainable way of thing, because this was first 20 years back itself. The CMFRA was did a research. Actually, they did a proper research, and they find out this species will do the breeding in this particular month. Especially East Coast have a different fishing holiday, and the West Coast have a different fishing holiday. West Coast fishing holiday, it will start in June to July. First, it was started as a 45 days. Now it become like a 60 days. So this all over India, this ban was implemented, and it was helpful to breed certain species. But the fishermen have some issues, because After this fish ban, the cyclone was coming and big monsoon was coming and all these things. They can't able to go to the place to do the fishing, especially the East Coast people. So East Coast people are objecting and they are telling to CM4A and this research institutes and all. Once again, you can able to study about the breeding season and change this fishing holiday like that they are telling. So CM4A now start to doing that study about the breeding season of the particular fishes. So that is a very good thing to do it in a sustainable way of fishing.
If anybody has any other questions, they can ask, please.
The first question on the pollution side is really very correct, and the normal process by which especially for this filter feeders is a depuration technique where they are retained in clean water, whereby their system is rinsed off toxic materials and they are fit to eat. So I think there are some agencies also like CMFRI and CIFT who are working on improving this depuration techniques also. So that is something which we basically we should try to avoid the pollution in our water bodies. That is the first golden rule. Second thing, what we really need to work, what we can practically really work on is if there is improvement of depuration techniques whereby this filter feeders can be better depurated so that the toxics are removed and it is fit for consumption. That is also a good way of moving forward.
Praveen, I have a doubt. You were talking about the trawl ban and the East Coast and the West Coast, right? So I don't know too much about it, but I know that in Kerala we have the trawl ban. But do you, and you said that the monsoon actually comes as a soon, I mean, not monsoon, but the cyclones, and as soon as the trawling ban period is over, and then the fishermen find it very difficult. So, so then when they decided to do the, you know, the figure out a time when the trawling ban has to be done, they must have known when is the breeding time, so when is the climate, you know, how the climate is. So do you think that the, you know, there is so much change in climate that, you know, they can't predict it anymore, and the breeding, you know, the time of the fish and the, you know, the cyclone and everything is it's all like it's all confusing. So is that why the fishermen are now having a problem?
Actually, the main problem was there, Anu, that the trawl boat was there and the mechanized boat was there. The two fishing boats was there. So this trawl fishermen, they are encouraging this fish ban because they have only mainly focus about the shrimp and another small
the
fishes.
bottom dwelling things.
Okay. But the mechanized boat, I am talking about this tuna fishers and they go for a long multi-stock fishings and all. Okay. These fishermen, even after the fish ban, they will go very deep. These trawlers will go for at least 1 or maximum 3 days. They not go more than like a 3 days. Okay. But this mechanized fishermen, like the hook and line fishermen and the gillnet fortune fishermen and all, going more like a 15 to 20 days they'll in the open ocean. So these fishermen only the objecting, okay, they don't need this fish ban this particular time. But trawl fisherman was always accepting this proper time only. We should not change it. So this confusion was there. And another one thing you ask about the climate change also is a major important thing, because I attend lot of our meeting with this Kasimedu fishermen and in Tamil Nadu and all over world also in webinar and all this thing. Okay, this traditional fishermen, they lose their fishing grounds. Especially the people will go that Katamaran and they go to the small fiber boat. Now when like a 20 nautical mile or 30 nautical mile, that fisherman now it's very hard to find a fish. Very hard. It's like they are, because that water and all getting warm because of this climate change, and they are that EEZ zone, that below the 20 nautical mile and 30 nautical mile. Okay, via the coastal belt area and all, we won't get much fishes. It was going inside the open ocean. So mainly the traditional fisherman was affected due to this climate change. that open ocean fishermen was a little bit safe only. That traditional fishermen was faced this climate change, and that is a way they have a lot of conflict was there. So CM4A now studying about this climate change and fish breeding and all the things. So
Okay,
they
because
are
as
gonna
I
bring
understand,
some
no, because when the rain started only, they used to, for 45 days, they used to do the ban. But now, I don't know if it is because when the monsoon starts or if it is June, the time, no, that, or if the rains are coming later, after during the ban time, there is not much rain. And after the ban is lifted, the climate actually, then the rain starts. So then it will be difficult for the fishermen. Yeah, so I was just
yeah.
thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, because no rainy time and cyclone time fishermen can't able to go on fishing. Okay, that is another one big problem was there. Okay, and so that fisherman was only depend on the fishing, and they are telling like that. Oh, we know this is the season we can go for fishing, but we can't able to allow one particular fishing that time, because no these fishermen also, some people are not, most of the people are obey the rules. Some people what they do now, they have the two nets will be there. One is a Persian, one is like a hook and line, and they can operate that net in that open ocean itself. We don't know, but they can tell like that they are a gill netter, but they can use the hook and line also. So we don't know how can we monitor in the open ocean. So that is a problem. So now even continuous talk was going with the state government and the CM4A, like this organization and all, what we can able to do, because they need one proper data, at least for a 3 or 4 years data they need, proper data. Okay, these cyclones and all these things. So now CM4A was mainly concentrate about this climate change in fisheries. So they are doing that. So once they publish the data, only we know what is they're going to change this ban, or they're going to keep the same ban or not, like that.
Okay. So one more doubt, because I attended one meeting with you
No, but
earlier.
I think recently CMFRI under Dr. Sunil Muhammad had done a very detailed study and actually recommended another model of trawl ban in two segments. You shorten the period of ban and do it in 2 phases. But that also, what I understand is that it was taken to the fishermen, and there was a whole lot of discussion and debates, and even discussions got out of hand in some areas. And I don't think it has been, right, Praveen? It has not been implemented up till now.
Yeah, that not implemented, because no, if you are bringing something, okay, trawl fisherman will accept and mechanic fisherman will object. If something mechanic fisherman will accept and trawl fisherman will object. So government now keeping this trawl ban is somewhat safe only, because they are controlling all the fishermen. Okay, they are controlling this big mechanized fishermen and trawlers. So I don't know, but anyway, we need to know about their livelihood also. So this study they need to carry out properly all over India, not only one particular place. Then only they can bring a result. Then it should be, we can convince them and we can do that.
So one more question, because I had come for a meeting with you initially when Peter and all was there. So that time they were talking about that oil sardine and how that population has reduced and all that, right? So because we know that they do the trawl ban because they want to increase the population of the whatever is coming to breed. So and then they were talking about how the natural reefs where they come to breed are being destroyed because of all the ghost net and all that. So can you say something about that?
Actually, what is the main problem? No, there is a lesser sardine means, because no, this trawl ban time only for the trawlers and mechanized boat can't able to go for fishing, but traditional fishermen go for a fishing, and shore scene they can operate. So at the time they will use a small mesh size. Small mesh size means the net size, no, that eye size they will reduce, because they know the fish, the trawl ban time they can catch a big catches. So during that time, they will catch this breeding sardines also. You can able to see the market also. Sometimes this ban time, you can see the fish will come with a full of eggs inside, especially the sardines and mackerel. This all come through this traditional fishermen will catch the fish, and some fishermen, not all the fishermen, some fishermen, they will use this very small mesh size nets. Okay. So this was continuously doing, and nobody will monitor during this ban time, this traditional fishermen, Shoshin fishermen. So Shoshin fishermen, In Kerala, it was a very good fishing. You can see continuously they do the fishing in the shore. So there we can't able to monitor their mess size. So they are catching the young ones. So automatically the depletion was there. And another one thing also, climate change. Climate change also play a big role in this sardine disappear the last few years. So that is also given. CM4A published one paper also related to that. How these sardines was disappear, and this year also we don't get much quantity of sardines. So this is like a one ecological impact in our fisheries, because sardine play a very key role in this food web. So this is our ecological impact. So so this is a way we need to think what we can able to do. We need to fight against this climate change also, and a sustainability way also. So a lot of pressure was there for the fishermen and consumers and everybody.
Thanks, Praveen.
Okay, Bhavin, I have a doubt regarding the show scenes. Are you sure that they are using the low mesh size and they are misusing the troll ban period?
Now, I'm not blaming all the show sceners, okay, but certain people, okay, certain people, what they will do now, they will first, show scene, how they operate, okay, they will go for a one time, they go for show scene, next time they will go. First time and the second time, they can't, not got that much quantity of fishes means, okay, third time, they can use another type of net and it have a very low mess size. They know, okay, which is the area to operate and how to catch the fishes. And even they get a small sardines or mackerel or a small shear fish also. That is their profit. So this is a way they are catching a thing. And even Shangumugam is the best place. You can able to go and see. You can get a lot of this young fishes when you are getting the sale. Because I stayed there, so I can frequently visit that place. So I know, I saw in my own eyes also how much small fishes they are catching. So that is a way, because they need to keep it one particular size, but the enforcement was very poor all over India. I'm telling, the policy was there, but the enforcement officials, that only we are giving training to the Kerala Fisheries Department, but they don't have much manpower. So this manpower was very low, so you can't able to monitor completely all the coastal belt and all these areas. So that is a very tough task, but we are always encouraging the people to change their behavior. That is a more important thing, because we need to focus over the fishermen to change their behavior. We can't able to put a law or anything that won't be possible. They need to change themselves. Then only they need to think about their future. That is a more important, because they depend on only in a fishing. They don't know any other work. This is their resource. So they need to protect their resource.
Excuse me, sir. If this condition is prevailing like this or continuing like this, the sardinella or the soil sardine is going to be extinct, no? Is there any conservation measures are there?
No, actually, no. Main problem was that you can able to see if one sardine was become a less, another one fish will be increased, especially if you called a eiler, mackerel, because these two fishes was depend on the same food only. Okay, the plankton. So this sardine was, it will come in that one water current from all over world. It was traveling and it was coming. So it was coming from the Africa, that water current was coming to the west coast. So this was like a one process was there. So sometime that sardine was not there means we can't able to predict as soon as possible. Maybe you can be able to take a data like a 1 to 5 years. Then if the sardine was the same condition, we need to think about something. Or else maybe next year the sardine population will be very high. We don't know, because this is we can't able to predict. We can't able to predict, especially this type of fishes like sardines and mackerel. But that is a report even CM4A also produced. The mackerel catch was very high, very high, because sardine was got depleted, and sardines and mackerel was depend on the same planktons. So that is also another one important was there. So mainly the climate change is playing a key role. This is a way that all the scientists, even what are the meeting they are talking. So climate change is the main problem because they are doing some impact in this fishes breeding and this overfishing and illegal fishing also. Another one problem was there. So it will take a long data needed, not like a one short period. We can't able to judge anything. Okay, this is a reason and this is a reason. So at least they need one long data and a long monthly survey. That is only they helpful and they will take next step after that.
Okay, sir. Thank you. But the fishermen or this market people are saying this sardine available in the market is not from our shore. It is from some other place. They are telling. Actually, from where it is coming then?
Actually, no, sardine is a migrative species, like a elephant type only, sardines and mackerel. Okay, it is like one water current will be there. It was created from this African coast, from this coast that water current will bring that plantains and all this upwelling. Upwelling means like minerals and the plantain will come from the bottom to the top.
Mud bank formation.
Not
Isn't
mud
it?
bank, not mud bank. It's an open water that above layer it will come. So at the time, these sardines and mackerel, it like you can see in Africa, no, this big migration will go. One deer, big deers will move from one place to another place. Zebras and all this thing will
Oh,
move,
yeah.
no, because where they will get the feed, that place will move. So this current will start from the Africa, it will come to the west coast and it will come to the east coast. So there in between the fishermen will catching the fishes. So it is like a one particular system was there, the migratory system was there. But now what that fisherman was telling means maybe they not getting a sardines from the Kerala coast, they are getting the fishes from where they are catching. Somewhere they get it from a Kanyakumari coast or somewhere they are get it from somewhere else. So now getting a little quantity, not like that huge quantity was now not there. Last year and all, we don't get that much quantity. Nearly like a whole India, they produce like a 1 ton or something of sardines. That is a very negative impact in that fisheries.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We are done with the question.
Any more questions?
എല്ലാവരും വീഡിയോ ഒന്ന് ഓണക്കുമായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഒരു സ്ക്രീൻഷോട്ട് എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുമായിരുന്നു. ചേട്ടാ വിനോദ് ചേട്ടനോ? ഇല്ലല്ലോ, വിനോദ് ചേട്ടന് തിരക്കായിരുന്നോ? വിനോദ് ചേട്ടൻ
Actually, I must, if I not have this call, I will also attend the call. If I will call about this COVID impact in our fisheries in all over the world.
Okay. How many pages do we have? One.
No, 2 pages are there.
Okay. One
Okay.
second. Okay, smile. Thank you.
Okay,
I guess more people are coming.
Okay.
Hold on, one more.
2 screens are there.
2 screens are there. I
Two
can only
screens
see
are
one.
there.
Okay, smile. Thank you.
Okay, then Rahul.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Rahul.
So who's saying the thank you?
So
Rahul?
thanks, Praveen.
Okay, Senthil, you can
Thank
conclude.
you.
Rahul.
I thought you were saying.